he agreed that he would come back after the service was over and let us take his number. His number was 240 over 160, like stroke levels. Like he could have just stroked out at that point in time, and learning how to forgive other people, but also how to forgive yourself. And I think that like a lot of instances, people are holding on to so much because they're unable to forgive themselves. And we know those things go hand in hand. And what we hold on to is, it manifests itself in your body. And so it's easy to just call it stress. But, you think of him as your heavenly father, and you know that you as a father would do anything for your children.
Absolutely.
But yet he wants to do even more.
Abundantly more. We can't even imagine.
We can't. We ask people all the time, what are you doing for your health? There's a question, what are you doing to stay healthy? And people, they don't really think about that. But then they say, well, you know what?
Welcome back to another episode of Conversations at the Table. Joining me today is my friend, Danette. Danette, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it. And I'm excited to hear your John 9 moment.
Okay.
I know that I told you before coming, to meditate on that. So I would love to hear what your John 9 moment is.
Yes, that question is such a moving question, like a John 9 moment, because there have been so many of those John 9 moments in my life. Moments where you know that God's hand has led you, that has touched you, that has just totally transformed your life.
Absolutely.
And I think that one of the John 9 moments really happened for me, and it is an extension of the work that I am currently doing.
Okay.
We are working on our nonprofit, which is called Healthy Heart Nation.
Okay.
And Healthy Heart Nation is really about looking at the social determinants of health in the areas of social, business, education, justice, and health.
Wow.
And as you know, my husband is a cardiologist, and he really wants to make sure that people are living a life that is healthier, but based on informed decisions, empowering them to have the information to make better decisions.
Wow.
And so when I was thinking about the John 9 moment and the work that we do, it initially started for me just being supportive of what he's doing and understanding the need for that information in Black and Brown communities, but communities as a whole.
Yes.
But just recently, I really kind of came to the point and the realization that what we are doing has really impacted my life as well.
Wow.
And so, we do a lot around hypertension awareness, so high blood pressure, and how that affects people, and how a lot of people don't even understand that they have it. And when they find out, their health has declined to a point where their lives are different from that point forward.
Yes.
And so when I look back at my John 9 moment, it really happened probably roughly around 1979, 1980. My family had moved from Cleveland, Ohio to Atlanta, Georgia, where my father had just gotten a job as a medical technologist in a hospital in that area. And so shortly after being, moved into a new area, new place, new town, his health started to decline. And so we were basically told that his kidneys were failing.
Wow.
And he was in his early mid 30s.
Okay. So he was very young.
He was very, very young. And so at that point in time, he lost both of his kidneys and became a dialysis patient.
Oh, wow.
In his early 30s.
Wow.
And he was a young man with a young family, 3 kids, a wife. But he, continued to work and he continued to do what was necessary, to support his family.
Yes.
That's God. He continued to demonstrate God. He always put his family first.
Yes.
He showed us what a father was and how God
sacrifice.
As our father
and
the sacrifices.
Wow.
And so, he worked nights from 11 to 7 at night.
Yeah.
He would go on dialysis 3 days a week. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, he was on dialysis from 8 to 12. Then he would come home. He would go to sleep. And then the family would clean office buildings, to help us pay for our private school education.
Right.
We would clean office buildings from 5 to 7 or 8.
Wow.
He would come home. He would change clothes, and then he would go back into work. From 11 to 7.
Wow.
Doing that work.
Wow.
And so I know that God sustained him.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. You have 100%. Yeah.
Yes, that he was sustained by God.
Yes.
But that God continued to lead the family in the times when my father was probably not well enough to do it himself. But he never missed work. He demonstrated what true godly provisions are for a family.
Wow.
And so, now I'm looking 30, 40, 50 years later. Here I am, and our mission as an organization is to ensure that as many people as possible won't have to have the same kind of faith that he has, because we want to give them the information that they need about what their blood pressure numbers are, and ways that they can control it, to be empowered, to eat better, to get good sleep, to get hydration, to understand how to manage their stress. All of the things that we know, like we're not telling anybody anything that they may not necessarily know, but letting them know that it's important for them to value, to value themselves, so that God can use them.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
when you're not healthy, you're not able to go out and do God's work.
Your vessel is not.
Exactly.
Yes, you're not operating at. Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
And so at what, so I know you said you were supporting your husband, and then it's transitioned into this mission.
Yes.
At what point, or how did you transition into the medical field, or how was that?
Yeah, so it's so funny because I am not medical at all.
Yeah.
But just being around my husband and the things that he has done,
right,
you understand what those things are.
Yes.
And so my background is more business, sales and marketing.
Okay.
And so I think that is the reason why, as an organization, we said, okay, we want to bring health, we want to bring business, we want to bring education, and we want to bring social justice into what we're doing. Because if we're really trying to sustain the community, you can't do it in one way. No. You've got to look at it as a collective.
There's a web of the way everything operates together. Wow.
And you mentioned coming to the table to talk. What we say is that those 4 things, those are our pillars, and they're the legs of our table.
Wow.
And on top of that table are the community initiatives. How we support the community is based on what expertise we have at the bottom.
Yes.
Right? So what we're using to sustain that foundation. So for him, it's health. That's his foundation. For me, it's business.
Okay.
We have ambassadors that represent all 4.
Wow.
So people from an education standpoint. So as we go out to try to educate the community about the things that they need to know in order to live a healthier life, you've got to be able to translate that.
Yes.
You've got to be able to essentially not to give someone a fish, but teach them how to fish.
Yes.
So how do we make these business concepts, these health concepts, something that each and every person that we interact with can understand?
Yes.
And it's going to look different for different people.
Absolutely.
So we bring people who are coming from an educational standpoint to tell us, okay, this is what we want to say. How do we say it?
Yes.
Because they know how to communicate, how to ensure that you're teaching those principles.
Right.
So we bring them in to help us translate what we're trying to do.
That's an
We
awesome
bring
mission.
lawyers and, people that are police officers and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Like what do we need to know when we're going into the community? What are the things that we need to have sustain that?
Yes.
And so, the legal people are like, okay, we've got to make sure that we mitigate risks for the organization.
Because they'll see things that
they'll see something that
everybody
we're not.
has a different vantage point, and that's why you have these pillars.
Exactly.
So that you're able to see it all.
Yes.
Like from everybody's perspective.
Exactly.
That's amazing.
What we're going to miss, because you're going to miss it.
Yes.
Like there's always going to be something you're going to miss.
Right.
So that is like, what they do, and they say, okay, these are the risks. And so what we're doing, how we deliver this is in churches and barbershops.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Because again, all of those people coming together, like how do we meet the community where they are versus asking them to come to us?
Wow.
So we go to trusted community spaces.
Wow.
And we build the relationship out with the church. And if the church is going to endorse us, just like you endorsing me essentially gives me your credibility to your audience.
Right.
Your audience believes in you.
Yes.
So if you believe in me, they're going to believe in me a little bit. They're gonna. I come in with built-in credibility.
That's awesome.
So we do that with the churches, and so the church endorses us, and so that means that their members are going to take a certain level of trust in us because of the fact that the church endorsed us. And the same in the barbershop.
Yes.
So the barbershops that we work with, they believe in us. So when their patrons come in and they say, hey, come over here and get your blood pressure taken, they're going to use that relationship, and it gets transferred.
Wow.
Right? And so I was even thinking about our relationship. Right? So we bought a home and you had the relationship with Jorge.
Yes.
And Jorge said, this is who I trust to do the work and for this property. In fact, I don't know if you even knew that. He paid for the first 2 months.
I didn't know that. Wow. That's
he was
incredible.
like, listen, you're going to ensure that we continue to use you.
That's
he
amazing.
paid the first 2 months of the service.
Yeah.
And so we saw your work and we were like, okay, we trust him because he trusted him.
Yes.
And so that's how relationships are built.
Wow.
It is like foundational. It becomes, something. Trust is hard to build.
Yes, absolutely.
But when it's already built in, it makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely.
And so those are the concepts.
That's amazing. That's what a mission.
Yes.
And that's Also, I was reflecting on that, like how we met, right? And I'm like, wow, like, isn't it crazy that we met through business?
Yes.
But now here we are having a podcast about Jesus. Like
Absolutely.
what, like how crazy is it, right?
Yes. And I know when you used to come to the house, my mother-in-law would pray with you.
Yes, absolutely.
And she would always could tell what was going on with you. And she would ask you and she would reach out to you because that's what God's love does.
Yes. Absolutely.
And when you have his love, then you want to give that to other people.
Yes.
And so how you do that isn't always about saying God, God, God. It's about how you live.
Wow.
What do they see?
Wow.
And we recognize a spirit in you that was calm, that was gentle, that was caring, that was consistent, And so that helped build further into what you're doing. So, for us, constantly, it is really about how are you representing God in the world? And that is not always, for me, I'm always a little bit apprehensive when people are like, I'm a Christian. You shouldn't have to tell me that you're a Christian.
The fruits will speak for themselves.
The fruits speak.
Yes.
And you get that gentle spirit, that kindness, that kind of stuff is what you feel first.
Wow.
If you got to tell me you're a Christian, I'm always a little concerned.
Wow.
Because you shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
But like for us, the Christianity piece was just a byproduct of the results and the outcome and the consistency.
I love
and so
that.
you never had to tell me that you were a Christian because I knew, because your fruits showed that.
That's awesome.
And
Thank
so
you.
that
That's
is
a
what
great compliment.
it's the truth. It's very much the truth.
I appreciate that, and I feel the same way because throughout business, like I've had the same thing, and I know it's almost like it's like, I'll say it like this. I'm a contractor now, right?
Okay.
And so I say like, how awful is it that all you have to do is do what you say you're gonna do,
right,
to be a great contractor. The bar is so low, right? And so it's the same thing. Like when we talk about faith, is like you don't need to say it, just live it out.
Yes.
And I believe the same thing, and I've seen that. Like for the most part, whenever it starts out as, "Hi, my name is Albert and I'm a Christian," I'm like, oh, red flags.
Right. What's really happening, right?
Yes. So I love that you point that out, because in the marketplace, it's almost, I love to see how, and I say it like this, it's almost like I feel like the Lord, I know the Lord is so strategic. Like he places us in different places. And sometimes it's like he's playing chess, and we go in there as Trojan horses, like shining his light in the marketplace and in other places, right?
Yes.
But I see that with you, as you're saying, your mission and what you do. I love that.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
Yeah. Thank you. God is good.
God is so good.
Yes.
And so, like, having said that, like, in do you have any stories? Do you have something that has impacted you? Like, is there something specific that you could think of, like, wow, like in this mission that God put you in, has something touched you so deeply?
I mean, I think we're touched every interaction that we have with various people. And so we deliver, well, part of what we do, because there's a lot that we do, but I'm just going to speak specifically to our hypertension program, what we're doing, which we call is the Pressure Project. And so when I mentioned that we're in churches and barbershops, we're there every month.
Wow.
So we get a chance to build relationships with people because they see you more than once.
Wow.
So, so we've had situations where people have come in and, with blood pressure measurements, normal is like 120 over 80. Like less than 120 over 80 is a normal hypertension number. We have had people coming into church. The most recent one was a gentleman who was 85 years old. He was, we ask people, can we take your blood pressure, like when they come into church or when they leave church? And let me tell you, it's almost like asking people for money because people just, their first reaction is going to be no.
Yeah.
No, I already took my blood pressure. No, I don't need it. I'm good. I'm going to the doctor, blah, blah, blah. Well, this one gentleman, just something about him stood out for me. And, a lot of times when they tell you no, you say, okay. But when he told us no, I didn't take no for an answer. I was like, but can we get your blood pressure when you come out? I know you said you're going to go see your doctor and he's trying to regulate it, but we really want, and we do this work with students. Yeah. So medical students, so they nursing students. And I said, would it be okay if you had your pressure taken and let the students take your measurements so they can learn how to integrate with the community and help support the community? Wow. So he agreed that he would come back after the service was over and let us take his number. His number was 240 over 160, like stroke levels. Yeah. Like he could have just stroked out at that point in time. Wow. And so luckily he did come toward the end. There wasn't a lot of, people there. We had to call 911 to come and get him. But the church that we're working with, and I want to give a shout out to the person who leads this particular church, the Mount Rubidoux SDA Church. Her name is Dr. Jocelyn Pride. She's a nurse practitioner, and she went with him. And she made sure that he was not there by himself. He had a girlfriend, but wasn't there by himself to walk him through. And then she made sure that someone on the team went to his follow-up appointment with him because he was older. Maybe he wasn't understanding. Maybe there was a challenge with, between him and his physician. He was on blood pressure medication. Was it no longer working? I mean, this man was in a dire position. Yes, absolutely. And so they got him regulated. His medications were changed. And this was almost 2 months ago. Okay. So he came back. Wow. And the last time that he was measured, which was almost a month ago, his numbers were 117 over 80. Wow. So it changed completely, drastically. We have stories like that. We have people who, their numbers were a little bit high. They didn't feel like, they weren't feeling it right, but because we were able to share with them some information, and instead of just like ignoring their numbers, they went to the emergency room.
Okay.
And they ended up getting a pacemaker. Now, had they been at home and ignored it, the outcomes could have potentially been different.
Wow.
We've been able to talk to people, just really sit down and say, okay, like, what are you, like, look at your diet, look at your exercise. These things can help you as you're taking medication, or to continue to help you so you won't have to.
Wow.
And we've seen people make changes in their life. But it is because of the communication. It's because of the education.
Right.
It's because of taking the time with them to be able to explain what sometimes in the doctor's office, they don't have time to explain.
Right.
And so, we're not faulting, the system or anything else, but there are cultural differences on how you communicate. And then there's also just really explaining to them what these numbers mean.
Right.
Because when you go to the doctor's office, you might have 15, 20 minutes. They're going to say, okay, this is your blood pressure, and they're going to move on.
But it could mean nothing when you're looking at,
So we
because
really
you're not educated.
They don't feel comfortable. They feel intimidated a lot of times.
Wow.
But because they see us consistently and we're talking to them about these things, now we find out that some of the people that we support, now they ask the doctor, well, what does that mean? Yeah. Like, they know what it means now, but it's like, so what are we going to do to get my numbers to normal? Wow. And the doctor's like, wait a minute, like, but because we've been able to communicate, build the relationship, talk to people, but not at them, but with them, and answer their questions in a less intimidating environment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So how did you come to the point that you were gonna focus on the church?
Yes.
And focus on barbershops? Well,
yes.
Like, was that strategic? Did that start to develop?
Yes. Yeah. It is extremely strategic. Yeah. And it does go back to the trust that those establishments have in the community. Okay. It's already there. Yeah. And so we want to go to the places where the trust is already built, and we can be an extension of that trust. Okay. As well as to be where we can be consistently. And so we utilize, volunteers, medical students, nurses, physicians, they come. But then you can also build that resource especially in the church, because there are nurses and doctors and all those kind of people. So when they see you doing the work, a lot of times they want to volunteer to help with the work.
So then they unite.
And so they unite. And so once they get the church stood up, then we can take our volunteers and go to another church. Wow. And so in the barbershops, in most instances, all you need is one or two people to just be there to provide that support, for a couple of hours on a Saturday or a Friday. Wow. And so a lot of times if you're set like every third Friday, a lot of people go to the same time to these places. Yeah. And what we're also finding is that because they know we're going to be there, they may bring their aunt. Or their uncle, so or their cousins. So there's more people being helped because of that. Yes. Wow. So because they're saying, listen, this group is here, this nonprofit is here doing it. Yeah. I'm going to bring my uncle to get his haircut today because I know his blood pressure is not so great. And then I'm going to get mine done. And then can you take my uncle's? Wow. So it's just an extension.
So about, I want to say maybe like 5 years ago. Okay. My mom had, and correct me with the terms, but it's like when your body like gets half paralyzed. Is that called embolism?
A stroke.
A stroke. Yes. Okay. So she had that, right? And so obviously I know that had a lot to do with education and the lifestyle and everything like that. But also, as we were going through that process, I also discovered that it was spiritual in a sense. And the reason was there was a lot of unforgiveness in her heart. Stress. Okay. And so like, do you guys experience that? Like, because I almost see it as like, it's a teeter-totter, right? It's like, it's like we have the vessel, like our body, but it's like spiritual as well. And then also like the execution of it. So it's like, do you see that also?
Yeah. No, those things go hand in hand. Yeah. And what we hold on to is, it manifests itself in your body.
Yes.
And so it's easy to just call it stress.
Yes.
But, there are a lot of things that lead to stress, and the mental stress, the agony, the unforgiveness, like all of that is just still in your body.
Wow.
Like, in your shoulders, or, in terms of how you're like, it'll affect your sleep. You're not sleeping well. All of that kind of impacts your health. And so we try to talk about like all of those areas because they are so important.
Wow.
In learning how to forgive other people, but also how to forgive yourself. And I think that like a lot of instances, people are holding on to so much because they're unable to forgive themselves.
Wow.
And we know that they are forgiven, that Jesus, is God, like God gives them you take my yoke upon you and learn of me.
Yes.
For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
Yes.
So you're to give those stresses over to him. And when you do, your body does manifest better responses.
Wow.
But it's easier said than done. But but that is a key to the way your body reacts. Like if your heart is having to pump harder, or that your heart rate is high because you're stressed about the things that that God has asked us to give him.
Right.
And I know I'm guilty of that myself. When you have things going on in your life, but you want to just say, either I trust God or I don't.
Yes.
It's very simple. Like you trust him, give it to him, or you don't, and you hold on to it.
Yeah.
But you can't solve it. And so, so that is part of, something that I think as humans, we all struggle with.
Yes, absolutely.
Giving away that control.
Wow. You mentioned giving the yoke, right? Like, I grew up in Mexico for a little bit, and I saw what the yoke was, and the yoke is heavy, like literally, like it's heavy. So when I saw that, like, my yoke is light.
Right.
It almost didn't make sense to me. I'm like, how
yokes are heavy.
How is it that putting something on your neck and your shoulder is gonna be light?
Right.
But then I realized, like, Jesus is actually carrying it, all of the weight, if not most of it.
Yes.
And
if we give it to him.
If we give it to him.
Right.
And then we're just walking along, right?
Yes.
And I really saw that with my mom. And praise God.
Yes.
She had another opportunity at life.
Okay.
And she's thriving.
Yes.
But also in that, like in the spiritual, she was able to let go of those things.
And that's when her health improved?
Her health improved drastically. And in that moment, it just opened my eyes to something I wasn't aware of.
Yes.
I wasn't aware. Obviously, like in my mind, I understood it, like the execution of the way you live affects you.
Yes.
But I hadn't yet understood that what's in your heart and you haven't dealt with could also affect you. I hadn't seen that up to that moment.
Yes.
And now I'm always like trying to let go of things and apologize and talk to people. And if there's something in my heart, the Lord says, like, guard your heart above all else. I'm like, I'm trying to guard my heart, Lord, like bring something up. Like I got to talk to somebody. Hey,
get it off
I'm
your
sorry
chest,
if I offended you,
Right,
it's so easy to say I'm sorry now because of that.
Yes.
Because now I understand the repercussions to it.
Right. Because you forgiving them frees you.
Yes. Absolutely.
It frees you as much as it will free anyone else.
Yes.
And I think it's I can't remember the saying, but they're like, not forgiving someone is like, hurting yourself and expecting them to feel the pain.
Wow.
Or it's something like that.
I almost saw it like if you're drinking poison.
Yes.
And
you're
drinking
You're drinking the poison to hurt someone else.
Yeah.
Or all of those things,
Yeah.
But it is you only get to that point with God.
Yes.
And even when you are a Christian and you subscribe to the things of of his living, you still struggle with things.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so he's not expecting us to be perfect.
No.
But he is expecting us to remember that his will is perfect.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so it is really about remembering those things. And just trying to go back to him.
Yes.
And so, you think of him as your heavenly father, and you know that you as a father would do anything for your children.
Absolutely.
But yet he wants to do even more.
Abundantly more. We can't even imagine.
We can't.
No.
We can't, you know? Wow. And so a lot of times, you know, as parents, we struggle with our children in terms of what they're going through, and we're worried about them, and we're praying for them.
Yes.
And because we love them so much.
Yeah.
And, you know, in those instances, I have to remind myself that as much as I love them, he loves them more.
Yes. Wow.
He loves them more.
Wow.
And so I have to turn it over to him, and I have to let him do what he's going to do and take people through what he needs to take them through to get them to where we ultimately want to be, and that's saved.
Yes, absolutely.
And our path to being saved is going to look very different for different people.
Yes.
But he's always there for us.
Yes.
And he's always there with us.
Wow.
You know,
that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. That's so awesome. And I love the mission that you guys are
Thank you.
like doing, because I really like personally lately, like in this past, like, you know, like, well, for the past few years, but more specifically in the past couple months, I have been very convicted by the Holy Spirit to really like analyze, because I've been so focused, like I said, on the spiritual. But now it's like you also need to focus on the execution of the way you're eating and what you're consuming and what you're putting into your body.
Yes.
So as I talk to you, it's like it's a refreshing reminder that I need to also watch just how I need to guard my heart. I need to guard my mouth.
right. And guard your plate. But give yourself grace.
Yes.
So, you know, because a lot of times with all of us, we're like, I'm going to da-da-da-da-da. And then you don't execute, and you're like, forget it.
Yes.
So, you know, one thing to just make it easier is, okay, whatever your plate is, just try to add more good things to your plate.
I love that.
Versus like, I'm not going to eat this, and this anymore. But if you add more of the good things, like maybe a little bit more of the vegetables, or a little bit more of the, you know, the fruits or the salads, or, you know, instead of drinking, you know, something soda or juice, okay, I'm going to try to increase my water intake. Wow. So think about not what you're not going to do for your health, but what you are going to do for your health. I love
that. That's a great perspective. And that's even like when, like, at least for me, like when I came to Christ, it's like, oh, what are the things I can't do? That was my mentality.
Right.
And after walking with the Lord for a while, I realized it's not that you can't do these things, but I realized that these things were not benefiting me. And so now it's like, oh, that's I understand why. You know, because God is a God of order, and he tells us to live a certain way for a reason. And now I see that. So as you say that, that's a great perspective. It's not what you can do, because that's like almost tension. It's like out of love. And that changes everything.
Because then you don't want to do it anymore. Versus you can't do it.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's about consistency, and it's about, you know, if you fall, you know, get back up. You know, and tomorrow's a new day.
His mercies renew every day.
His mercies endure forever. And it renews. And it's, you know, so all of those things. I think, you know, again, forgiving yourself. You know, forgiveness is huge. You know, giving other people grace and giving yourself grace. That you're really on this path to being better. And, you know, sometimes you may stumble, but you just get back up. You know?
I love that.
And so those are the things that, you know, we all have to be in terms of forgiveness and grace and showing love and kindness and just really looking at, you know, what would you want someone to say to you in these moments? How would you want them to interact with you in those moments?
And those are truly the fruits, how we were talking about. That's really living and experiencing the fruits. And very recently I had an episode, like not too long ago, where somebody was sharing, I feel like we're not living that abundant life that the Lord promised. And I'm like, wow, I feel that as the body, you know, we are not experiencing that joy, that peace, that the fruits. Because we're just like tumbling along
Yeah.
and not really experiencing. So I love this mission that you guys are in to really bring that awareness to the community and just be the hands and feet of Jesus, really.
Absolutely.
So,
and looking at hope and empowerment, you know, because there's so much going on these days that is just fear-based.
Yes.
I mean, and it's almost like you're inundated with so much, you know, material or information that is fear-based or this is oh no, what's going to happen with this? And it's like, again, you go back to, you have to give that control to God. Like I'm trusting him or I'm not going to trust him. And so with the trust that I give him, you know, what can I do and what positive impact can I have in the world, you know, in my community, in my neighborhood, you know, in my family, you know, start there because the reverberation of that is just huge in terms of who you impact and who they impact and who they impact and the impact.
It's just the domino
it
effect
has
at that point.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, you know, that's why our organization is called Healthy Heart Nation because we're really trying to bring, you know, health, vitality, you know, people's passion to the nation, one person at a time, one heart at a time.
That's beautiful.
You know, and so that is our goal in terms of how we impact people every day.
Wow, that's amazing. I love that. That's literally just like, I see it that way. It is like the hands and feet, like you're walking it out and doing it in action. So
and not doing it alone.
So doing it together.
Doing it together. And everything is a lot easier when you do it together.
Wow.
And so when we go back to even looking at like a table, and we use this analogy a lot in our business, but we've got those 4 pillars, right? And you've got a table. And if you and I were trying to move a table, you know, and I need to move a table by myself, it's going to be hard.
Very hard.
It's going to be, you know, awkward.
You're going to hurt yourself.
It's going to hurt yourself. You're trying to move the table. And by the time you got that one table moved, you're exhausted. You can't do it again.
Yes.
But if you bring another person or look, how about bringing 4 people to move this table?
Wow.
Then you can move the table. You can have fun, you can laugh, you can joke, you can enjoy each other's company while you're doing that mission.
Wow.
You're moving that table. That table's moved. Okay, what's the next table? And so our approach is to really try to bring people to the table that are in a place to allow us to make progress consistently. And when you do something together, it always is a lot more fun.
Absolutely.
Than if you're doing it alone.
Yeah.
And so the collaboration is huge.
Absolutely. I love that. And as you're saying that, I'm remembering when we brought this table into this space. This table is so heavy. Like, and at that time, my friend helped me, and it was just me and him. We almost broke our back, and we had to like literally like take it apart.
Okay.
But it just makes me realize, yes, when you work together, that's what we're meant to do.
Yes.
Because when we try to, you know, we mentioned the yoke.
Yes.
That's literally teamwork.
Yes.
It's like Jesus is carrying that with you.
Yes.
And then whatever mission field the Lord has put you in, you need to surround yourself with others because it's easier to carry a heavy table when you're doing it together.
Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely. That's you all beautiful. 2 people with this? Oh
my I had the same thought, like I never want to move this ever
this
again.
Is never leaving.
This is never leaving. And so this table, just funny story with that is we used to host a life group for 5 years.
Okay.
And in this table, we had so many conversations, just like me and you are having.
Yes.
But they were in private.
Okay.
And so I realized there is so much power in having a conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
At a table. So as you say that, is like, you know, to you, one way, the way you see it towards your mission, like what we're doing here in this podcast is the same thing. There is so much power.
Absolutely.
In sitting around a table. And just doing it together.
Absolutely. So absolutely. And the different perspectives, right? Because it's gonna resonate with different people in different ways.
Absolutely.
But what we've also understood is that people need to see themselves.
Yes.
And that is so important, you know, and a lot of instances, not all, but in a lot of instances, especially in the Black community, those examples aren't always there.
Yeah.
You know, some of us are lucky enough to have a network of people that represent all four of those areas, that are doing well, that are exceptional, that are successful.
Yes.
But what are we doing to demonstrate that to the rest of the world? How are they going to see that collaboration?
Yeah.
How are they going to see people that are taking an interest in them?
Yeah.
How are they going to be able to integrate and talk to people who are going to encourage them, that are going to give them hope, that are going to be positive, to have that chance, to have that exchange?
Yeah.
And you know, again, we bring those types of people into those churches, into the barbershop, you know, and the exchange is just so amazing because people pick up on that positive, that positive nature, that you can do it. How is it getting better? How are you, what did you do differently?
Yeah.
You know, how can you do differently? And we ask people all the time, what are you doing for your health? There's a question. What are you doing to stay healthy?
Yeah.
And people, you know, they don't really think about that. But then they say, well, you know what? I walk.
Yeah.
That's a great way to stay healthy.
Yes.
Then you can talk to them about what they're doing and encourage them.
You find them where they're at.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
so walking
amazing.
is great. It allows you to move. It allows you to get sunlight. It allows you to get fresh air.
Wow.
It's a great stress reliever.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I go to the gym. Oh, that's great. When you go to the gym, you get a chance to use muscle and weights, and you get to interact with people a little bit. And so, you know, so we meet them, like you said, where they are.
Where they're at.
We ask them what they're doing for themselves, and then we try to build on that.
Wow, that's, you know, like thinking back to when I asked you the question, like what your John 9 moment was, and you mentioned the experience that you had when you were growing up.
Yes.
Isn't it crazy that something so hard the Lord would use to feel something so good?
Exactly.
And we don't see it that way because when we're going through hardship, it's not fun. No, but I don't have fun when I'm struggling.
No.
But it's that process that the Lord puts you through that then eventually will give you fuel and will equip you to do the mission that He's called you to.
Absolutely.
So I love that.
And we have been so blessed, and we have roughly like 200 ambassadors that are part of the organization. And just yesterday, I met a young lady. I mean, she's around my age, so but I'm gonna call her young.
Young lady.
And she just shared with us that she was a foster kid, and she had been in 40 different foster homes throughout her life. And now she is giving back to foster children. She goes in and she does talent shows with them to give them something to look forward to and allow them to express their talent. But, you know, it's like it was because of her experience that she is so committed to that community.
Wow.
Like really being able to go and talk to those people in terms of you can get out of this. You can do well. You can, you know, come on the other side and end up being a mother.
Yes.
And you raise children. There's hope.
Yes.
But, you know, a lot of times those experiences are what levels the playing field for the various people that you go and talk to. I'm not going to relate to someone who's been in foster home, possibly.
Right. Absolutely.
But she can.
Yes.
And so, you know, it's really about bringing the right people into the right situations. And God creates those.
Absolutely.
But you've got to be willing.
You got to be willing. You know, I was probably like 16. A lot of the times I see things in my mind, I see them as pictures, right?
Okay.
So I had this picture of a bucket and it was full of crabs.
Okay.
And the crabs were trying to get out.
Okay.
And as one of them was about to he was clawing his way up, the ones beneath him were pulling him down.
Yes.
And then finally there was one that left.
Okay, they made it.
And I just stayed with that image for such a long time and I didn't understand it. And now in retrospect and now after walking with the Lord and understanding, like I really feel the Holy Spirit was speaking to me through that.
Yes.
And what He was saying is, what if you're like that crab that actually gets out?
Yes.
But then goes back and pulls the other ones out.
Yes.
And so I see that as you were saying, it just reminded me of that image.
Yes.
You're literally doing that. You're pulling others out and you're sharing with them this knowledge and this transformation for their life.
Yes.
And in a way, that's what I'm trying to do here through this podcast, right?
Yes.
But it's so beautiful
to
see that you guys are just the hands and feet of Jesus. And may the Lord bless you in your mission, and may there be transformation to what you're doing.
That's our prayer.
Yeah.
That is our prayer.
Awesome.
Yes.
Wow.